new bill to standardize Islamic education in Nigeria, Rima Kwewum. In an interview with Arise News, Mr. Rima Shawulu Kwewum, a member of the House of Representatives, revealed that there is a new bill to standardize Islamic education in Nigeria under the Bola Tinubu administration. Rima Kwewum also debunked the news that a bill was passed to regulate Christian practice, but rather the bill was to standardize Christian teachings in public schools. Rima said, "This bill is concerned with what is thought, in the public school system, and by the way, you may wish to know that the bill to standardize Islamic education for Muslims was passed and there was no controversy about it. As you know, Islam too has different shades of opinions." Speaking further, he said, public education everywhere in the world is a function of government, so the Ministry of Education will be represented on the board. The Council for Education Research will also be represented, as will the agencies. All agencies will have to give regular accounts to the government, and those who are scared that the government will one day give rights to preach should not be scared, because that will have to do with the fundamental rights of the people. Now, personally, I just think that this is so, irrelevant to... If you want to make educational reforms, why are we starting with religious studies? I don't get it. I mean, if you look at our society and you see how much religion is infused, and if the government really wanted to do something about education, how about starting with the strikes, the unnecessary strikes that mean that students are out of universities for 6 months to 9 months of the school year? It does not make sense. That is something you can fix. That is a problem. I don't think it's a problem. How much more religion do you want to teach? Looking at how religion is so ingrained in our society, with mosques and churches everywhere. Literally, someone can just say, you know what, I want to be whatever, a Muslim or a Christian. You can go anywhere, you can join. It's so big. It's so fundamental to how we think, how we move as a people, religion. So it's what does it do for us, if that makes sense? And I don't understand standardizing Islamic education as what? In what context? Because in a lot of schools, the things we don't even have our way of education. We always take from different learning systems. The British system, for example, obviously with colonization, okay, great. But then you have the American system. You have schools just deciding to do what they want. There is no standardization just generally as to what we are teaching anyways. So usually when it comes to religious studies, you usually have a choice in a lot of schools. If you want to do Christianity, Islam, that's the only option that exists. And then with languages, you have some that are compulsory, but usually they are all voluntary, you can actually choose. And then we have our traditional languages, which are obviously should be standardized in a lot of schools. But when we teach in English, we speak in English, everything in English, we then learn our own languages like we're learning French. Does that make sense? Anyways, but I personally think that this is so triggering, because that with our society, we just have those people that are we want Islam to be taught in every school, everyone must learn it. Or those that will say, you know what, we want, Christianity to be taught in schools and Bible stories and all that. And I'm like, are we going to depend on schools to do that form of education and learning as well? No. So it's, in my personal opinion, I don't think that's irrelevant. Okay, should we clap our hands for you because you did what? It doesn't make you, and then you also find that in a lot of universities as well. I've listened to quite educational podcasts, and in terms of reforming what we learn, especially regarding the global advancement of technology and innovation, and how what is being taught in a lot of Nigerian universities are things that are so outdated. And I think that is a problem that's what we should be tackling, whereby it's you get your degree or you get your qualifications in Nigeria, but it does not stand or match up with world-class qualifications, you find that a lot of, from examples that I've seen, usually a lot of Nigerian degrees or whatever you've learned, when you take it to, leading countries in the world, apart from, let's say, obviously doctors and all that, but like in a lot of other fields as well, when you take it to lead countries in the world, I mean, yes, they value experience, but usually when it comes to the quality of the qualification, it's always a thing where you have to be retrained, or you have to then adapt to their system of qualifying people, if that makes sense. And so it's like, those are kind of issues that the education and the House of Representatives, those are the kind of bills when it comes to education reforms. That is what they should focus on. Why is this still on religion? Because it just seems like we like to just talk about things that we know of just because we want to talk about it. For what? Personally, I just don't think it's a relevant place to start from. You have, especially in the north, look at the state of public schools. Public schools don't even mean anything now. Almost everyone has a private school. Not that, private schools are of a particular standard. No, you just rather go to a private school that you can afford rather than a public school that's free, but the windows and the chairs are half quality, or they're half gone, or the windows are missing, or in fact the board, the chalkboard or whatever is being used is not of good quality. And then it's like, then what's the point? I mean, and obviously teachers being paid well is also another issue as well in public. So it's like, I don't understand. You're talking about fundamental rights of the people, but you only talk about fundamental rights when it comes to religion. That's the extent and where you're willing to fight and give your life. I mean, come on now. It's embarrassing. And it's like, what else? And it's like, what is wrong with these people and religion? And it's a thing, especially in the north, A lot of northern politicians see it as a thing of, I mean, their sentences are incomplete without saying how much of a devout Muslim that they are. You know what I mean? It's a trend. You see it. Even the vice president of the country, he's talking, giving his speech, and randomly just goes into, I am a devout Muslim, and as a Muslim, I will represent myself, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's okay for you to have your religion as part of your identity, but now you're serving people that aren't only Muslims. So obviously, it then ties into different conversations of that basically inter-religious war. And it's like, if you look at the problems we have as Nigerians today and the things that we should really be fixing, I mean, yes, religion is a big issue in our society, don't get me wrong, but if you want to talk about education, why are we starting with religion? It just doesn't make sense. It's a new regime, you know what I mean? Put what you think in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.